Hi everyone, welcome to my review of M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender in 2010. So here we are with another Shyamalan review, and this time, of course, The Last Airbender probably be the last film, from Shyamalan that I see this year, because of course I have really good things planned, in terms of film and everything for the next few weeks, and maybe pick it up again, after the New Year, sort of first couple of days in the New Year, and we'll go back to them. And of course, watching The Visit, I've not seen, and of course, rewatching Split on the run up to Glass. So yes, of course, this is a film that is very, very unpopular. It's known really as one of the worst. Pretty much, if you ask people, people that have actually seen it, what are some of the worst films of all time? This will probably, pretty much always been a top 10 or so. At times it's been called the worst film ever made. Of course, at the time I got very, very just sort of, just kind of saddened about how things were turning out, with Shyamalan stuff. And I heard so much bad things about this, I kind of just avoided it. I gathered that it probably wouldn't feel like a Shyamalan, so I didn't need to see it, straight away. And again, I've just been putting it off and off, over the years. I just didn't want to. I was scared. That's the truth. I was scared of seeing this film. It's been known to be, a complete failure on every level. And just of course, it wasn't bad at the box office, but critically, it's got 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's got, among fans as well, very, very low scores, and yeah, just literally probably one of the 10 least popular films of all time, and just considered an absolute, awful film, on all accounts. And yes, I think, of course, as I've said before, up until this point, I've actually liked all of these Shyamalan films. Up until this film, The Happening, I liked, although not a good film. Lady in the Water, I thought was okay. I liked it. I didn't think it was, again, as bad as some say. Personally, I think it was very human, and just it was unique and kind of a nice film. I think it had very, very, a lot of flaws in that film, but it was fine. I didn't really see, how it was an awful film. And yes, basically, of course, The Village, Signs, Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, all in my top 100 films. So I think going into this, I had very, very low expectations, but I thought. Well, no, here's the thing. I didn't think it could be like Lady in the Wall where, I might like it a little bit. It might just be people, don't like a lot of Shyamalan films. Because this one is not really, it's a big budget kind of adaptation of the show, and yeah, of course, no one says this film is a masterpiece. So basically, I went in, it was yesterday, that I saw it, and today's Thursday. I'm losing track. And then it'll be uploaded tomorrow probably, or Saturday. But yes, basically I watched it, and as the film, after the first sort of 10 minutes or so, and basically the story. I'll talk about the story first, of course. Most people that are watching this review have probably seen the film, but basically this avatar, this long lost avatar, from what I gathered, some of it is a bit convoluted, but yes, basically he's the one who can kind of bend all four elements: air, earth, fire, and water. And he's basically, there's the other characters of Soccer and everyone that try and band together and use him to kind of bring peace to the world. And he has to kind of, basically face his destiny against the Fire Nation, which basically, they are the villains of the film. Dev Patel is among them, and basically they declare war, and there's many, many different locations within this world, which it keeps tapping into and it keeps showing you. It's a bit muddled there, so I wasn't always aware, of the actual locations and everything, and exactly what was going on in terms of some of the stuff there. But it's pretty basic at its bare bones. It's mythology involved and everything. And yes, I've not seen the show. I'm not sure I can say I'll ever actually watch the show. And I love anime and stuff, but I don't think I will watch the show. Certainly not anytime soon. But I think saying it now, if people say in the comments you haven't watched the show, you can't review it. Not really, no, because that's like saying, for me to be saying The Godfather is in my top 20 films, you have to read the book or something. It's ridiculous. I can review this as a film. I know a lot about films. I don't need to watch a show to see how it's adapted. It's based on how this is as a film, you know, as it always is, you know, it's not, I don't, you know, I'm not going to compare, you know, Lord of the Rings when I review it to the books and all this. It's just very, very different. But yes, basically, most people hate this film, and I was watching it, and I, you know, even up to the first 30 minutes, you know, I just thought, am I going insane? This is not even bad. You know, so there you go. I think, you know, and this is not me being a fanboy. I don't think it's a good film. You know, I think it is. You know, it's under par. You know, but wow, you know, even on my channel, I've reviewed probably at least 10 films that are a lot worse than this. Yeah, it must be more than that. You know, and that's sort of films I've seen in the last year since I started YouTube. So this film, you know, I was just thinking it is not a bad film, and it actually has some good stuff going for it. Some of the mythology, you know, was actually kind of enjoyable, well done. The cinematography, you know, at times was actually good. The visuals overall, you know, it has some flaws definitely, you know, and the CGI towards the end of the film, and the way the action is in there, and the way it's shot, edited, you know, it's very, very flawed. But really, actually, the visuals, you know, throughout most of the film, they're fine. You know, it's pretty well shot. You know, some of the framing again, some odd choices of framing. Some of these, you know, these Shyamalans, even Lady in the Water and Happening, you know, they have some weird framing issues with you know, close-ups and everything. Different choices that I probably, you know, wouldn't do myself, but you know, I think this one has some of that. But again, the way he captures nature, the overall color palette, you know, and just actually the way that the action is directed in this film, you know, certainly in the first half, it's decent. You know, I think actually it's quite good. You know, I think there's a couple of moments where it's actually impressive. You know, the characters. Let's talk about the characters. Who is basically the Avatar. You know, he's not. You know, the acting in this film. That's the thing. The thing that really does let it down, and it is at times it is bad, very bad. Is the acting and just overall the dialogue at times. But it's really the acting that lets it down. Because the script is not, you know, awful. The acting at times is, you know, especially from the younger members of the cast. You know, Dev Patel, when he plays this whiny kind of villain at the beginning and really kind of the end as well. But you know, he's not good in the film. But you know, the kind of some of the rest of the characters, you know, really are the ones that, you know, there's just not good performances really throughout most of the film. And you know, overall it does have some, you know, kind of bland moments, sections of the film. You know, I think the last act has got you know, some generic stuff in there, definitely, but it has got actually some of the highs of the film. You know, especially when, you know, the wave near the end of the film happens. I thought that was a very good moment. You know, especially combined with the really amazing score by James Ian Howard. I think once again, you know, he's worked on most of Shyamalan's. Once again, a really amazing score. You know, this is better than The Happening. You know, it's not better than the rest of the ones before that he worked on, you know, with Shyamalan. But I think, you know, definitely a very, very impressive score. It's got lots of emotion in it. It's kind of, it suits the action at times. And, you know, I think, yeah, just really wonderful moments in the film that as well. You know, I think the music is very much in tune, you know, with the film. And, you know, there's certain moments in the film that I thought, you know, that's well put together. You know, that's kind of it's consistent in its tone. You know, it's not. Yes, it doesn't really go for much humour. You could say at times it's a bit, you know, flat in the humour department. You know, and that, of course there could have been humour in there and it could have worked. But yeah, I think there's no moments really that break the tone of the film. You know, too much. And you know, consistently it has actually got some emotion in there. Yes, there are moments that are flat. There are sections in the film where, you know, it doesn't really engage me that much. You know, I wasn't really that bored of it, but, you know, just a bit flat at times. You know, because I was interested in the way that Shyamalan, you know, told the story at times. You know, his visual storytelling as well, and just you know, there's a warmth to it. I think this is not for me a cold, soulless film. You know, I thought I was going crazy, and you know, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but to call this film the worst film ever made, you know, I personally don't get it, because for me it's not even a bad film. It's under par. It's actually mediocre for me. You know, but I think the fact that, you know, it's called pretty much instantly, you know, everywhere really, the 10 worst films of all time kind of thing. Hmm, I don't quite get that, and I actually think this is better in terms of quality than The Happening. I do prefer The Happening to this. I do actually kind of really like The Happening at times, and yes, I think this has a lot of flaws. The acting at times is very very bad. The dialogue just at times, it's not great, but it's not a script that is really really bad. It's kind of it has a kind of really, really poor casting choice. I think, and there is moments where it doesn't come across well in the dialogue. But I don't think on paper the dialogue is that bad. It's nothing that good. But it's not. I don't think it's awful. That's for sure. I think the acting, yeah, mostly is pretty bad. I think Dev Patel. The first half an hour of the film, he's the worst, really. Personally, I think throughout for everyone in the film, there's not really consistently a person that is worse than him when he's in this part of the film. In the film, so yeah, I think the villains overall are very very bland at times. There is kind of a campy charm to it, but I think, and it's not completely lifeless there, but it's not that good at all. It is very bland mostly, and just kind of one note you could say. But I think this film has its charms actually. I think there is kind of warmth to it, and enjoyability at times of the banding together of the group. Sokka and Katara, the other two sort of main young characters in the film. They kind of go on a journey with the Avatar, and there is some moments where actually with the use of editing and the use of music and stuff, where there's kind of montages and stuff that are actually pretty good. It kind of had a remnants of a sweeping feel. I think so. Overall, this film, is it one of the worst films of all time? For me personally, absolutely not. I think there's so many worse films than this, and I don't think it's a bad film. It's not me. I honestly thought I'd have to say this is an awful film. And I would have defended Shyamalan just instantly. I don't do that with anyone. I wouldn't do that with Spielberg. If I saw a bad film, I absolutely adore Spielberg's work. If someone makes a bad film, I'm honest. And the same would have been here. I gave The Happening, a low score as well, although I did enjoy it. But I think I was expecting to give this one a very bad score, at least. And the fact that I don't think it's bad is literally just because I don't think it's a bad film. I think it has quite a few things in there that are to praise. It has got some emotion in there. It's got some charm, some humanity to it. Yes, some of the flashbacks and stuff, in hindsight, they're not the most engaging, things. I kind of liked it when he's talked to the dragon, but the other things, didn't quite work. Overall, the editing, it has some flaws, but overall, it's not bad. I think the editing's pretty good. Cinematography, for most of the film, or at least 2/3 of the film, is actually it's solid. I think Shyamalan has a good, visual eye in the film. It's not bad in terms of cinematography at all. I think the music is amazing at times. It really is. There's a couple of moments in this film that are, very impressive in a way. Actually, in terms of cinema. Especially the kind of scene with the wave near the end of the film. That was a good moment. And actually, I think I was mostly engaged somewhat in this film in terms of the mythology at times. Just some of the kind of the characters teaming up. Although the acting is really really bad. The character development isn't good really throughout the film, apart from maybe with the Avatar. But again, of course, it's flawed, and the acting at times I was kind of shocked at the acting sometimes. But I think the script is not bad. The cinematography is good. The use of music is amazing. There is some good action. Now, this has been criticised for its action. It's been known to have absolutely terrible action in the film, use of CGI. And seriously, I think there is so many films that have worse CGI than this. There's a couple of moments, yes, that feel off. The earth kind of bending stuff, is noticeable. But really, there's so many films that I've seen that have a lot worse CGI than this, and just the way that, just in general, visuals and action with CGI that are a lot worse than this. I think actually the CGI is not bad at times. It's But overall, the action, Shyamalan, of course, uses quite a lot of long takes in the action. It kind of just sort of moves the camera flowing and it does some zooms and everything. Now, the zooms, I think towards the end of the film, in the kind of final actions or scenes, that's when the action's at its worst. Overall the cinematography as well, because he kind of tries to, I think, it's kind of like this, the film 300, the action there, which I'm not a fan of at all. The action with the slow mo, the speed ups, and then you've got, of course, the zooms and the zoom outs, just constantly, and done in such a way where it's very, very off putting. It's cheap, and it just doesn't have a nice flow, and it's really, really just not good and not disciplined. I think there's at times where towards the end he kind of does this. He should have stuck to what he was doing, at the beginning of the film, because I was impressed with it actually at times. There's some good, kind of feel the action at times. And it has got quite a lot of energy within the action, and just kind of a nice flow. And of course some of the bending, I did like some of the bending actually, especially the water bending in the film, and the fire bending. I thought that was pretty good. The earth bending is not quite as good, and stuff, and because the CGI as well didn't look good there, and it's just kind of wasn't done as well as it could have been. But I did like some of this. Overall, I don't like the film, but I don't mind it. I think I definitely liked quite a few things about the film. Yes, it got more bland and kind of generic and a bit more flat. In the second half of the film, and the final act, the action took a dip. The characters, there's quite a lot of characters in this film that are forgettable, but the acting is really is mostly what. It's very, very bad in this film. It lets the film down massively, and of course it has bland segments. It has moments that are undisciplined, and I think some of the moments in the film, with the mythology even, they don't really feel like they're. You don't feel it at times. You just kind of hear them talking about it, and that's not everything. I think he done this well at times. Building the mythology, I was definitely invested at times, but other times not so much. I think it felt a bit rushed. It felt a bit kind of just a bit too kind of saying it, and of course because of the acting as well wasn't that convincing. And what people were saying sometimes I didn't really buy into, and also at times it could have been better in how you feel this world, this universe, instead of just hearing people talk about it. The exposition in that sense, wasn't always great. There was moments where it was. So this is kind of what I'm saying. It's a mixed bag. It's under par. I don't dislike the film really. I think it's very, very just very close to me. If it had kind of been more consistent, and if it had just kind of better action in the ending as well, and just a couple more things, I could have maybe given it a like. I don't really dislike the film. I don't like it. It's somewhere in between. I'd have to give it a 51%. So yes, The Last Airbender, I've given a 51%. So that's an outrage, isn't it? But I just don't think this is actually a bad film. By no means it's just a great film. Of course, again, Shyamalan, he is better than this. He is an amazing director when on form. And again, this doesn't really feel like a Shyamalan film at all. Really. I love him when he's being original. He's being himself. He's doing what he's best at, and he's bringing kind of original ideas. And just kind of, I just like Shyamalan when he is Shyamalan. I love his style and everything. And this doesn't feel like that. As well, to add that onto it. But as a film, it's not a bad film at all for me. Overall, I don't think this is one of the worst films ever made. And yes, mediocre is not a good thing to say about a film, but considering the amount of hate this has got, I think again it's just a combination of people, of course, and you can understandably you can be annoyed at adaptations not going how you want. But I always try and keep a just judge a film on its own, and not within a franchise and all this kind of stuff. Afterwards comes comparing and stuff. But with the score, I always try and keep it fair. And of course, the combination between that and people, you can't say that, certainly at this time, Shyamalan was a popular director, and he got a lot of unfair hate, and it's a shame. Yes, he had quite a few ones that were not popular in a row. They're not great. certainly not. And After Earth, yeah, it's worse than this. I'll say it now. So yeah, I definitely don't think this is the worst Shyamalan film. After Earth is definitely worse, and yeah, I think The Happening's worse. But as I say, I do really enjoy that one. So yeah, 51%. It's under par, but I don't think. I was impressed with some of it. I think Shyamalan, done some good stuff here. Some directed action. Directed some action well. Good cinematography for most of the film. The score was great. I think it does have some emotion. It does. I was interested in some of the mythology and the way it was told. At times, the bare bones, feel of the characters teaming up, had some charm to it. I think it had some warmth and humanity. It's Shyamalan always kind of brings that. Mostly brings that to the tables. We'll see if I kind of feel that about After Earth on the rewatch. But yeah, I think really Shyamalan. I think he's back now, of course, with Split and everything. I think he's best when he's doing what's unique about him, and kind of just sticking to his guns and everything. Him adapting this, it just seems a bit baffling, and I just think even Lady in the Water is a unique film. I think, and it did have some moments that are very original and interesting, and human. This one, is not a bad film, but it's not Shyamalan really, and I'm glad he's back now. That's the kind of thing to take away from it. Yes, this wasn't popular, and it's not a great film, but now he's come back, and to come back from all these unpopular films is great, and I think back proving that when he is himself, and when he's bringing his own ideas, he's one of the most unique and the greatest directors of all time for me. With Split, so I cannot wait to talk about the next few. And this is not one of the worst films of all time for me. Fine if you think that. I don't quite understand why it would be called the worst film ever made. It just doesn't quite click with me. But yes, The Last Airbender, slightly under par, and it was not bad. Definitely not for me. And yes, thanks for watching my review of M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender.